Have you ever wondered what treasures might be hiding in your great-grandmother's attic? You know, those curious little gadgets and tools that once made daily life tick, but now sit gathering dust, forgotten by time and technology? Well, today we're diving into the fascinating world of everyday items from the 1940s. Objects that were as common then as smartphones are now, but would probably leave today's generation scratching their heads. First up, let's talk about the Brownie camera by Kodak. Compact, affordable, and easy to use, it brought photography to the masses. Snap a photo, wind the film, and voila! Memories captured in black and white. It turned everyday people into amateur photographers and documented countless family gatherings, vacations, and special moments. The Brownie was revolutionary because it made photography accessible to the average person, not just professionals. Its simple point-and-shoot design required no complicated settings, and the sturdy box shape made it durable enough to withstand a few bumps on those family picnics. Remember the hand can opener? Not the sleek, battery-operated ones we have now, but the good old crank-and-twist metal gadget that made you feel like you were earning your supper. It took a bit of muscle and technique to puncture that tin lid, and if you weren't careful, you might end up with a jagged edge sharp enough to warrant a trip to the medicine cabinet for a bandage. The design was simple, a rotating cutting wheel and a serrated gear that gripped the can, but using it required just the right balance of strength and finesse. It was a tool that connected you directly to your food, making every meal feel a bit more hands-on. If you ever helped bake a pie, you might recall the pie crust trimmer. It was a nifty little wheel that rolled along the edge of your pie, giving it that perfect, crimped finish. Not only did it make your pies look bakery-worthy, but it also ensured even cooking and kept the crust from burning or flaking off prematurely. Some trimmers even had decorative edges, allowing bakers to add a touch of flair to their creations. It wasn't just a tool, it was part of the artistry of home baking, making sure that every pie not only tasted delicious, but looked beautiful too. Then there's the flat egg whisk. Before balloon whisks took over, this flat, wiry tool was the MVP of scrambled eggs and cake batters. It didn't just mix, it performed a delicate dance of aeration and blending, ensuring that your eggs were fluffy and your batters were smooth without overworking them. Its flat shape made it easier to scrape the sides of bowls and pans, and it was particularly good at creating those soft peaks in meringues and whipped cream. The flat whisk was a testament to the idea that sometimes the simplest tools are the most effective. For those who canned their own food, the jar lifter was an essential tool. It saved many a hand from scalding hot jars, making sure that your strawberry jam stayed in the jar and not on the floor. Canning was a labor of love, and the jar lifter was the unsung hero that made sure all that hard work didn't go to waste. With its rubber-coated tongs and sturdy grip, it allowed home canners to safely transfer jars in and out of boiling water without the risk of burns or spills. It was a small but vital part of preserving the harvest and ensuring that homemade goodies could be enjoyed year-round. The manual lawnmower was a true test of endurance. No gas, no electricity, just pure, unadulterated elbow grease. The whirring blades were powered by your own two legs, and mowing the lawn was as much an exercise in patience as it was in physical endurance. The cylindrical blades would spin as you pushed, neatly slicing through the grass with a satisfying snip-snip sound. While it required more effort, it also provided a quieter, eco-friendly alternative to today's noisy, gas-guzzling mowers. Plus, it gave you a great workout and left your lawn looking impeccably manicured. Heating your home involved a bit more effort with coal furnaces. Shoveling coal into the furnace was a daily chore, and you had to keep an eye on it to make sure the house stayed warm. It was like having a pet, but less cuddly and more sooty. Managing a coal furnace required a certain level of skill. You had to know when to add more coal, how to adjust the airflow, and when to clean out the ash. But there was also a comforting ritual to it, and the steady radiant heat it produced made homes feel cozy during the cold winter months. Waking up on time was an adventure with wind-up alarm clocks. Forget snooze buttons. These clocks had a bell loud enough to wake the dead, and you had to wind them every night to make sure they didn't conk out on you. The ticking sound was a constant companion throughout the night, and if you were a light sleeper, it was either comforting or maddening. Setting the time was a precise operation. One wrong twist, and you'd be late for work, and heaven forbid you forgot to wind it before bed, or you'd be relying on the rooster to get you up in the morning. Plus, these clocks were mechanical marvels, with intricate gears and springs all working in perfect harmony to make sure you were never late. Unless you forgot to wind it, of course. Their designs often featured ornate faces and metal casings, making them both functional and decorative. Before we had sleek calculators, there was the mechanical adding machine. It was a clunky, noisy device with buttons that clacked like a typewriter. Balancing a checkbook felt like operating heavy machinery. Each number you entered required a satisfying push, followed by a loud ka-chunk as the internal gears calculated your totals. It wasn't just about adding numbers. It was about feeling each digit register through the machine's mechanical heart. Mistakes weren't easy to fix, so you had to be meticulous. There was no backspace button here. And let's not forget the lever you had to pull after each calculation, which felt like you were launching a rocket rather than adding up grocery receipts. The whole process was a tactile experience, combining the thrill of machinery with the satisfaction of precise arithmetic. Many of these machines were beautifully crafted, with polished metal casings and keys that clicked with a satisfying precision. The washboard wasn't just functional, it doubled as a musical instrument in a pinch. Who knew doing laundry could be so versatile? The rhythmic scrubbing was almost therapeutic, and there was a certain satisfaction in seeing dirt and grime disappear with each pass. Made of wood and metal, the washboard was an essential tool for hand-washing clothes before electric washers became common. It required elbow grease and a good bar of soap, but it got the job done, leaving clothes fresh and clean. The milk chute was like having your own personal dairy portal. No subscription service required. The clinking sound of glass bottles arriving was a comforting part of the morning routine. These chutes were small, insulated doors built into the side of houses, allowing the milkman to deliver fresh milk without stepping inside. On cold mornings, you could grab your milk without even putting on your slippers. And during the holidays, some families would leave a little treat or tip in the chute as a thank you for their trusted milkman, a gesture of neighborly charm from a bygone era. It wasn't just for milk either. Sometimes eggs, cream, or butter would find their way into the chute, making it a mini grocery delivery system before its time. The slide rule was the go-to for engineers and students alike. It looks like a ruler had a complicated relationship with a puzzle, but trust me, it could solve logarithms, multiplication, and division faster than you could say Pythagorean theorem. This ingenious device didn't rely on batteries or electricity, just the clever application of sliding scales and logarithmic principles. To the untrained eye, it looked like a simple stick with numbers, but in the hands of a skilled user, it could perform complex calculations with impressive speed and accuracy. It was a symbol of intellectual prowess, and mastering its use was almost a rite of passage for anyone in the scientific or engineering fields. Engineers would even wear their slide rules in holsters, proudly displaying their technical expertise like a badge of honor. Before refrigerators hummed quietly in our kitchens, people relied on ice boxes to keep their food cold. The Iceman cometh indeed. You had to be strategic about where you placed your perishables, and melting ice meant constant vigilance. Ice boxes were insulated cabinets that held large blocks of ice, which slowly melted to keep food cool. It required regular visits from the Iceman, who delivered fresh blocks of ice to replace the ones that had melted. Managing an icebox was an art form. You had to know which foods to place closest to the ice and how to manage the drainage to prevent leaks. Writing was a more elegant affair with fountain pens. Before disposable ink pens flooded the market, these refillable beauties made every signature feel like a work of art. Just don't forget to blot your paper, or you'd end up with an inky mess. Fountain pens offered a smooth, flowing writing experience, and many were crafted with beautiful, ornate designs. They were a symbol of sophistication and professionalism, and using one required a certain level of care and maintenance to keep the ink flowing smoothly. Before refrigerators took over, meat safes were the go-to for keeping meat fresh. These mesh-covered cabinets allowed air to circulate while keeping pesky flies at bay. They were often placed in cool, shaded areas of the home to extend the freshness of meats and other perishables. The mesh kept out insects while allowing enough airflow to prevent spoilage, making them an essential tool for food preservation in the days before modern refrigeration. Laundry day was a whole different ballgame with the clothes sprinkler. This little gadget helped evenly dampen clothes before ironing, making sure you didn't end up with more wrinkles than you started with. It often came in the form of a perforated cap that screwed onto a soda bottle, turning it into a DIY sprinkler. Simple, effective, and a lifesaver for crisp, wrinkle-free shirts, it made ironing a much smoother process and ensured that fabrics lay flat and neat. And for the final touch on home cleanliness, the wire rug beater was the weapon of choice. Before vacuum cleaners, you'd take your rugs outside and beat the living dust out of them. It was oddly satisfying and a great way to take out your frustrations. The beater was typically made of twisted wire fashioned into intricate shapes, designed to dislodge dirt and debris from deep within the fibers of rugs and carpets. Swinging that beater with vigor not only cleaned your rugs, but provided a bit of a workout too. So, how many of these treasures do you remember? Maybe you even have a few tucked away somewhere, waiting to be rediscovered. These items remind us of a time when life was a little slower, a bit more hands-on, and filled with gadgets that had as much personality as they did purpose. As always, thank you for watching. See you on the next one. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.